Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the pajama party. It's Wendy Smedley here, and I'm chatting with Tracey Clark. And we have some fun things to talk to you about today, all around photography, as you can guess, because Tracey Clark is an amazing photographer, and we are just big, huge fans of her work.
Yay,
But
thank you.
before we start about talk about that, what pajamas are you wearing, Tracy? Please tell.
Well, normally I wear sweatshirts, but I get pajama. I got these pajamas as a gift from a dear friend, and I wear them when I travel. So I thought thought I'd break them out for you.
Oh, they're lovely. They're
Thank
lovely.
you.
And I'm just relaxing in my lovely Target PJs that are just perfect for summer. So,
Nice.
and you know what? Pajamas are fun. So whether or not you're in pajamas, we all know that you're interested in photography. And so, Tracy, I have a question for you. I mean, surprise, right?
Right.
Um, Talk to us about what is important for a budding photographer to know. It could be a tip or just anything from your wisdom.
As far as like just starting out, I've had this conversation recently. Wendy, you and I were talking about comparison,
Oh,
and it can be really harmful when you're first starting out to be comparing what you're doing with other people. It can be so easy to shut down and just think, oh, I'll never get there, or I'll never be, that kind of photographer. And that's probably the worst thing you can do for yourself is to compare and feel bad. You'll find your way, you'll find your niche. Just keep working and doing what you love, and don't compare yourself to other people. I think that's really important.
okay. I don't even, I'm just in awe because I don't think that is something I would have ever thought um, as a barrier, but
Yeah.
it's a huge barrier because if you look at someone who's had years of experience and you think my photo doesn't look like that, I can never get there, then what does that do? It just shuts you down. I'd never thought of it that way.
It does. It can really be a creativity killer for sure. So just keep doing what you love, and just surround yourself with people that encourage you and support you, and that you can share with and feel good about what it is you're doing, and you'll get to where you want to be.
Okay, I think that's awesome. How can you better train your eye to be a photographer? It seems like I'll notice, especially on Instagram, for example, I'll notice shots that people take and they'll look, I could take a picture, with that subject. They're not traveling, they're not doing something fancy, but the image is so stunning and it's so ordinary, but it's stunning. How do you train your eye to look for those types of shots?
That's a great question, and I really think it starts with and people that have taken any of my classes know this is what I believe. I really believe in observation first,
Okay.
really opening your eyes to seeing the things in your daily life that spark your interest, maybe, or like the way light plays on things or shadow, just like the little tiny unexpected things that you hone your eye to start seeing these little details in life, and
Uh-huh.
once you start to see them, you always see them. It's like this crazy, it's like a muscle. It's like you're toning your observation muscle. So once you get that and you really start to pay attention as you're walking around your daily life, and you turn your camera then to those things, you can start to work on then translating what you see into your imagery. And the observation process is huge. It's a great way to start, and it's a great way to hone your vision.
Okay, I like the way you're talking about it as a muscle because
Yeah.
it tells me that it's something I can grow and
Mhm.
something that I need to use to keep
Yeah.
it around.
Yeah.
And so, observation. And I
Exactly.
also notice you are really, really good at light and the way things, like the way you position them. I guess that's called composition. Does the ability to compose a shot come with experience, or how does that affect observation?
Yeah, so observation comes first, and then you use your camera to frame those scenes. And so the composition, I also call that framing, of the thing that you see. It really will make or break the shot. So first you see it, and then you learn to frame it. And I
Okay.
think if you just take time, I'm big on encouraging people to take the time to experiment and play, try shooting the scene or object a dozen times in different ways to see how you feel about the end result. There's all sorts of rules about composition and things like that, but I think intuitively we know what works.
Mm-hmm.
So I encourage people to try different angles, unexpected angles, take a fresh, unique approach. Look at your subject in a way that maybe someone else didn't see it, and then try to capture it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you work on that, you tend to start to see what works for you and what you like the best and what images get a good response from others or whatever. And then, you can go from there. So yeah, framing is huge to make a successful shot. But,
Okay.
it's observation first and then framing that observation, if that
So,
makes sense.
um, I like the idea, like we talked about observation being a muscle, and then framing is something that you experiment with. And I think what makes me excited about how you answered that question is that's what makes photography accessible to everybody because we all come from it with our unique frame, our unique perspective. And so part of what makes it beautiful is seeing how other people are framing their world, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why it can be so individual. And
Mhm.
okay, thank you. That's really insightful. What are some tips for participating in an event and photographing that event? For example, a family dinner or a milestone such as a birthday. How are you like in there and you're living in the moment and the present, but then you're also trying to get, those candid shots of everybody. Do you have any tips?
Yeah, and that's I think everybody struggles with that. And I think that it can be hard because you really do want to be present, but sometimes when you're shooting, you're preoccupied.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to tell people to really get into a habit or a practice of using your camera on a regular basis. I mean, the less intrusive it becomes when you're in a situation like let's say a birthday party, because it becomes more of an extension of who you are, and it's not this like where you're not nervous that you're like looking at your settings because you already know how to do all that because you do it every day. So when you bring it out, no one's distracted by it because they're used to you being, kind of with it, and you're also used to being with it. So it takes a while, I think, to really have a seamless situation where you're there with your camera and it's almost like nobody even notices, which is
Oh,
it makes it so much more enjoyable. So practice before the big events.
okay.
Get really comfortable with your equipment before you start the event, because there's nothing worse than being in an event and like worrying about your settings and then saying wait,
Everybody, hurry, do that again.
like I'll seriously plan ahead where like I will make sure that the cake is on a table where the light is good.
Mm-hmm.
I know I where I don't have to fight with it or be I'm like I will control the situation as much as I can to make sure that when the time comes and I'm shooting, it's more relaxed for myself. So planning ahead is too.
Okay, okay, so this is great. I mean, observation is a muscle, framing is your individual perspective, and having that camera be an extension of yourself is just like those are such great tips.
Oh,
Um, I mean, they really, really are. Okay, where do you get your inspiration and your motivation for continuing to photograph your everyday life? Like, where does that come from for you?
personally, it comes from a real desire to see the awesomeness of my daily life. I feel like it became a kind of a source of sanity, if you will. It's the
Mm-hmm.
best thing I can think of. It became a source or a practice of being mindful.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, the photography or the observation. I don't know back in the day because I've been shooting for so long. I don't know what came first, but I really feel like I am most grateful and most grounded when I'm seeing what's beautiful in my life and when I'm shooting it.
Mm-hmm.
So it zens me out. And I have a lot of chaos in my life. I have a lot of clutter.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot going on, just like a lot of women in particular. But that, when I can see that light on the coffee cup and I can zoom in on that and focus on that for a few minutes and take a picture of something that like serene and
Mm-hmm.
calm and simple, it just makes me feel like it's like it's almost like an exhale for me.
Mm-hmm.
So shooting my everyday life is almost essential to my well-being. It's like a practice, like people talk about yoga. It's like a
Uh-huh.
practice. And so
Oh,
that's where my motivation comes from. It totally keeps me like whoosh.
I love that. And I that leads us to the workshop that you've just been working on and just is open for registration, and it's all about celebrating and capturing the everyday. And you have a book. So tell us a little bit about the workshop and the book and what you're excited about teaching people
Well,
to
I'm
do.
I'm super excited about getting back into a new class, and especially following along the picture series, which is the class, all the classes that I've taught in the past at Big Picture. So this is there's a twist on this because it does have to do with my book. And I basically looked at my book, which is called Elevate the Everyday, and um, which is about photographing your everyday life and bringing it to a level of beauty that it deserves,
Mm-hmm.
and having it be, recognizing that it's photo worthy, and even the most mundane things are of value and important and worth documenting. So that's like the object, the theme of the book. Taking that theme, using some of those tips and things that I use in the book, and going chapter by chapter, and then those inspired the prompts for
Okay.
Picture Every Day. So they're connected, they're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And really, just like with the picture series, it's really about observing. It's
Uh-huh.
I'm sharing ideas, um, specifically on each prompt for a way to look at your daily life in hopes that you can see that magic and then find it in your photography. That's kind of what marriage is between Elevate the Everyday and Picture Every Day.
Uh-huh.
And Elevate the Everyday is a book for mothers, but
Uh-huh.
Picture Every Day is a book for anyone. I
Okay.
mean, is a
A
class
class
for
for
anyone.
anyone.
Yeah, yeah.
So, wow. I mean, I'm just talking to you and listening to you talk about photography and how it's almost like, well, it is essential to your well-being and every day. It's so inspiring, and I know that people watching in the pajama party are going to want to learn more about your class, and we'll provide links for you to do so. And I hope you decide to join Tracy in her new class or take any of her picture classes. They're all just super cool and inspiring, and we all need a little Tracy Clark in our life. Thanks, Tracy.